lakini yes imefanya hatua kidogo, lakini huku mashinani bado sijaona kuna mambo mengi katika zile mambo zao walikuwa wamelenga, bado hawajafanya mostly.
Acha tusikie kutoka kwa mwingine.
Halo.
Nieleze jina lako na unieleze scorecard ya Kenya Kwanza, serikali ya Kenya Kwanza iko namna gani sasa hivi? Na ni yapi unaweza sema?
Imetukalia kwanza kidogo. Kwa sababu mafuta imekuwa juu tu sana. Na sisi wafanya kazi hapa ndio kaa abiria hapa, tunabirisha abiria bei. Naona unakuja na siku moja na mbaya ni 150. Sasa naona hawezi lipa hiyo bei. Sasa tunaona waaguze hiyo mafuta. Na hata unga ianguke.
Ikiwa leo ni siku ambayo labda tunatarajia bei kutangazwa kwa bei nyingine, labda kwa hili unaweza sema lini?
Kwa tuangushie mafuta.
Wacha tusikie kutoka kwa mwingine. Ndugu, songa karibu, nieleze jina lako na unieleze scorecard yako kwa serikali hii, unaweza sema nini?
Kwa majina mimi ni Murithi na mimi mkazi wa hapa katika Naivasha. Na kwa score zenye tunaweza pea serikali yenye iko saa hii ni kidogo sana, kwa sababu serikali kwa pande yangu mimi hakuna pahali naona imenishikilia hata kidogo, kwa sababu mimi ni mfanyikazi wa chini na ile pesa mimi napata kwa siku hata saa zingine naenda kulala na njaa na watoto wangu, sababu haitoshi. Ni pesa kidogo, mimi ni mtu wa kubeba mzigo. So kabla nifikishe 500 jioni inakuwa ni kazi ngumu, alafu kisha ile pesa inakosa kunitoshelesha mahitaji ya nyumbani.
Kulikuwa na ahadi tele wakati wa kampeni za kiongozi wa taifa wa sasa William Ruto, na ni kufikia sasa ni yapi labda unaweza sema ametekeleza na ni yapi ambayo bado kulingana na ahadi zake hajatekeleza?
Mimi nikiangalia kwa ahadi zake naona tu ni upande tu ya security tu venye aliweza kukomesha ile vita ya wizi wa mambo ya mifugo, lakini pande nyingine yote sioni pahali amefanya kitu kingine yote.
Asante sana kwa muda wako. Stanley, that is it from me here in Naivasha. You got sentiments there, echoes and lauding to the government in fighting banditry and cattle theft in the parts of Rift Valley. And on the other hand, they say that much has to be done to ensure that the common mwananchi at least has got something to take home, as the situation right now is quite dire and nothing remains one left to right hand, and that is it. From me, it is such. I take it back to you, Stanley Nyaringita, in our studios in the capital city.
Thank you for that, Willie Dennis Njiru in Naivasha in Nakuru County. From Nakuru County, County 032, back to County 047 right here in Nairobi. In our studios, do have a senior political affairs reporter, Apollo Kamau. Apollo, uko salama?
Niko salama.
Next time tutakutafutia kahawa moto kidogo. Usikuje bure pia.
It will be an honor.
This week has been one interesting week on matters politics. The ODM, back and forth, possibly a possible and a seemingly split in the ODM. Yesterday, the ODM MPs meeting President William Ruto again. We were expecting that Raila Odinga will be making an announcement today. How are things shaping up in matters politics, beginning with the bipartisan talks?
First, I would say we are on standby. We are watching because so much is happening in one time. And the issue of bipartisan as far as concerned, as Mio had told us about 2 days ago, today they are going to issue a statement. Okay. And it's a statement which was triggered by remarks over the weekend and in 2 instances from Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, even saying before the president, the last one was in Meru, that the Constitution does not allow for the audit of an election which has been decided by the Supreme Court. Okay. So that contention itself is the very core of the dispute between the two sides, the audit of last year's presidential election. And that's why we were hoping, as Mio had told us, today they were going to issue a press conference. First they meet, they give a common statement on the way forward on the issue ahead of Monday next week. Because on Monday, that's when now they start, according to them. And we also had an interview with Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, who is leading the Kenya Kwanza side, that on Monday is now when they go to the issues direct, and they start with the issue of IEBC. And the issue of IEBC is very emotive and very divisive. So we are waiting to see the proposal they come up with, but it's an urgent issue because the issue of IEBC is holding many things back. First, there are the 2 by-elections in Banisa, in Mandera County. Then there is another ward election in, I think, Kita East or West in Kakamega. That's another issue. Then there is the larger issue, the bigger issue, which is the delimitation of constituency boundaries. It's an issue which has been spelled out in the Constitution. It has to happen in a span of 12, not more than 12 years. And so in a span of 8 to 12 years. And so it has to be done now. So on Monday is when we get a clear picture. But there has been, according to the Azimio side, to them, they are saying there are delay tactics according to how Kenya Kwanza is behaving in the talks. And therefore, they are concerned. So between now and the weekend, so much will happen as far as the talks are concerned. So
and 2 things arise here. Number one, are both parties on the same page when it comes to the reconstitution of IEBC? The second bit would be Kenyans would be wondering, why is it that the cost of living, which, I mean, both sides were saying this has to be one of our top agendas, why shouldn't it be the first agenda to be discussed by the teams?
Well, if according to the plan that they gave us a while ago, the issue of electoral justice is at the very top. Not that the issue of cost of living doesn't matter, but it's because of the pressing need to have IEBC reconstituted first. And that's why it's one of the issues. But as far as coming to a common position between the 2 sides on the issue of IEBC, they're also divided because there's a proposal, especially by Azimio, to have the new IEBC based on the IPPG model, the Inter-Party Parliamentary Group model, where politicians are the one who select commissioners. And therefore, when we ask them what then happens to the selection panel, which is in place now, doing its work and has shortlisted candidates, they said they are going to issue a legal notice and call them to the talks. They find out how they are going to do this. But any proposal they come up with, because they've been passed by Parliament, it's legally binding. So eventually it will head to Parliament. But still on the issue of reconstituting IEBC, there are also issues there. When it comes to the audit of last year's elections, there are issues. According to Kenya Kwanza, it's a foregone issue. According to Azimio, we cannot talk about 2027 unless we talk about 2022.
But then Monday is the fact that it's going to be the first one, so this is going to set the stage for other discussions for this, right?
Yes, and what's happening this week, what's setting the pace for Monday, if indeed there won't be a delay tactic or something comes up, is a compilation of the memoranda, because the technical committee is supposed to compile a report which will guide the agenda they are going to discuss. Remember, the agenda of the talks has been condensed into 5 thematic areas. So on the issue of the report, speaking to the technical team, they are saying the issue of cost of living, the issue of electoral justice are some of the prominent issues coming up in the various memoranda that are being presented. And you talked about the issue of the cost of living. The cost of living itself is also divisive because Kenya Kwanza says we are already implementing that. But Azimio, they are saying you're not doing enough. And then we have Parliament holding a special sitting today to consider some tax proposals. There was that budget statement or proposal coming from the National Treasury, which is recommending an 18% hike in VAT tax, value-added tax, to be in tandem with the other East African countries, because currently we are on 16% VAT. So there are so many issues on the issue of cost of living, which is being triggered by whatever is happening at the moment as the government tries to raise revenue through tax instead of borrowing more.
Finally, on the bipartisan talks, Monday comes now after weekend, and we definitely know how Kenyan politics are quite active during the weekend. How is this going to be affecting the Monday's discussion in Bomas of Kenya, inside the closed doors? But then the remarks that might be said during the weekend, how can they really affect Monday's discussion?
We've heard the Azimio delegation leader Kalonzo Musyoka talking about the issue, saying they will not be affected by whatever is happening outside.
Okay.
But we saw this past Sunday, what's happening outside is affecting the talks. And now there is a strategy by Azimio to have Kalonzo and Jeremiah Kioni, who leads the technical team, to lead the talks. But then they leave the other principals to lead the political part of it, because they are worried Kenya Kwanza has hit the ground running, and not just for the 2027 campaigns, but also to try to influence and sway the agenda as far as the talks are concerned. So whatever is happening outside, as much as they're saying it's not affecting what is happening inside, it's affecting. And remember, whatever they decide inside, they have to go back to the principals. If it's the president for Kenya Kwanza, if it's Odinga for Azimio. So it's something you can't deny, and whatever is happening outside will affect what's happening inside.
Okay. And finally, as we wrap up, yesterday having the ODM MPs meeting President William Ruto before he jetted to the US. How is this now going to have a ripple effect, and what should we be expecting even today and as the week progresses? What should we be expecting for the same?
Well, Azimio yesterday dismissed what happened in State House. And remember, the MPs who went to State House, the 7 except 2 of them, the 5 of them have been expelled. But then they have received, or they have a reprieve, because the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal overruled ODM. We have Secretary General for ODM, Edwin Sifuna, saying, you might try whichever way you want, but this will come to a naught. It's an exercise in futility. You can't buy time either in the PPDT or in the courts until 2027. So it's a showdown we are watching.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Apollo. Any other AOB matters, any other, before we wrap it up?
That's all.
That's all.
Yes.
Right. And definitely more to expect even for viewers in our subsequent bulletins, 4, 7 and 9 p.m. That is all for the County Diary. Most definitely ensure that you stick around for our subsequent bulletins, well, even for Matukio TV 47, as we definitely update you on how this will be unfolding. Even for just taking a look at even some international diary, matters even in Libya, taking a look at how this will be unfolding and all that. Even having Fred right here with me, definitely quite an interesting day today.
Oh yes, quite a lot of things happening, and I like the fact that Apollo Kamau has all it covered.
Oh yes.
The fact that all the questions you asked, he was ready with all the answers. And kudos to our team here.
Oh yes.
Quick look at our diary today, the highlights. This morning, President William Ruto jetted off to the US yesterday, where he's expected to meet leading Silicon Valley tech bosses and also attend the UN General Assembly later this week.
All right, and even in Libya, what is happening? The death toll from the devastating floods in Libya crosses to 6,000 and is expected to rise as operations continue to recover bodies, with thousands of people still reported missing.
Joaquim El Chapo Guzman has been released from jail in the US after serving less than 3 years in jail on drug trafficking charges.
Right, and I even remember as we're wrapping up, today we're asking you, is the government justified in its latest proposal to introduce more taxes? The conversation will always continue on the digital platforms.
Online, yes, you can interact with this conversation at TV47.